You made it. I knew you would. Welcome to the 1st of November Great British Mickey Waffle podcast. And as the Halloween lanterns are nowhere to be seen in Magic Kingdom, and the Christmas decorations appeared overnight, it appears everyone is preparing for the festive season. However, we're going to keep you sane. We thought we'd go even more long-term on the planning footing and share with you something that came up from our previous mid-month show. So, if you're not staying within the Disney resort bubble, what options do you have that retain the magic, but possibly allow you to add a sparkle of your very own?
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
I'm John. Welcome to November. Time for the heating to go on, the big coat to make a return, and at this time the big coat's nearly being worn inside the house as well. Although I did read that last week the overnight temperatures in Orlando were just as cold as here, so I must admit that would be one shock to the system. With me this month to share their Disney musings and festive glitter in those days of darkness. That's the last we're going to say of festivity. We've got Ben. How are you?
I'm good. Getting festive and got to dig out the big coat because January trip coming up. Will we need it to take it to Orlando?
I think you might. That's
No.
right. I tell you, mate. Yeah.
I refuse.
Was that one? Always take the weather with you. That's it.
Well, I hope not. I want to leave cold weather behind.
Yeah, definitely. And as you heard, we've also got Becca. Sat beside Ben as always. Hiya, Becca.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm more intrigued because actually it was the three of us who did the mid-month show from October, and actually we had the most amazing amount of questions from people, listeners. The listener must have had at least 25 questions for us to sift through, but they were so good, and we actually felt that the topic for this month was actually worthy of a whole show of its own. So a massive thank you for asking that question. So we've had a little bit of a head start on this in a way. And then we throw Claire into the mix. How are you, Claire?
I'm very, very good. Thank you, John. And talking about the listener makes me think of the old Terry Wogan show where he used to make up comedy names for people.
Yeah.
And I'm slightly disappointed you didn't do that. I don't we had actual people asking questions rather than comedy names. But,
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to keep it clean. No, that's a problem.
Neither did he. It's okay.
I know.
Treasure.
I
He
know,
got away with
but,
it.
yeah. I'm not quite of that status yet. I don't think I'd get away with it. Yeah.
GB Mickey Waffle does Janet and John. That's what we need. If anyone's listening and you don't know what Janet and John is, Google it.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
I will do later. Yeah, I was going to say, we might not be old enough.
Push this.
Really not at all irritating.
Oh dear.
I like being on the younger corner of the Great British Mickey.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have no idea what you're talking about half the time.
Yeah. Be glad of it. Yeah.
It's going to enhance your life, Becca. Let me tell you that.
Okay. Are they on YouTube?
Yeah. Well, kind of. You can. Yeah, you'll find them.
But the last thing you recommended on YouTube was horrific anyway. So, but
I don't even know what that was. I can't even think what it was.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on.
Leave that.
Robin, do you know something? It is so good to have you on the show. And actually, one of the standing jokes is we tend to record just before you go on a trip. So it's been rather nice for you actually to be here and actually at the time that this is actually released, I actually know that you will have an operation coming up as well. So we'll be thinking of you in the podcasting world as well as in person, and then obviously waiting for that text to say, I've managed to persuade the doctor I can actually get my Thanksgiving trip in as well.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
No, it's lovely having you on the show anyway.
Thank you. I noticed you don't want to talk about the C word, but that's Christmas, by the way. Not
Thank you for
think
clarifying.
what other C word were
Oh,
you thinking?
really? Yeah.
So rude.
Cornhole.
But I did
Yeah.
wear my red festive jumper and my green green
Okay, see,
headband.
you're ahead of, you're right on.
John, how long have we known each other? You know me. 1st of November means Christmas is up in my
Yeah.
house.
You like Disney. Halloween's
Exactly.
gone.
Yeah.
Christmas
If
is
it's
here.
okay for Disney, it's okay for me.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of looking at
I
it.
like that.
No.
Start planning
Yeah.
for Christmas like
Right.
9 months
No.
in advance.
It's still banned. It's still banned here. That's it. I'm not going down that route at all.
No.
Can never get
Anyway.
enough festive cheer. I love it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go with that. Yeah. Pass the eggnog. Like I said, this show, and actually I'm so aware that this is the type of thing that we generally run out of time on. So I'm going to keep us moving quite quickly. But it's kind of one of those things that, when you think of all the things that everybody says about staying on site and how amazing it is to be in the bubble, you stay in the bubble, and then you get home, you look at your credit card, and you're thinking, oh my word, how much does that trip cost altogether? And you actually, it's quite eye watering. I think it's probably a good place to actually start and actually pricing up even just a basic trip. I'm not talking about tickets. We're not talking about anything else. We're going to just look at accommodation options. And if you want to stay on site, and we're going to compare it with maybe different options that you might be able to wrangle or whatever. What you might also find is that it becomes quite addictive. So once you begin to once you get that first little inkling that you basically can't afford to stay in Disney for 2 weeks, then don't be fearful of it, because I think a lot of people are, and I think a lot of people think, oh well, let's go elsewhere. There are ways around it, and actually there's ways of cutting the cost of a holiday, and that's again why we want to do this show.
I don't think it's just about not being able to afford to stay on site, John. I think it's about opening up your horizons and understanding that it's more than theme parks going to Central Florida. I had a really interesting conversation with my cousin who they own a property in Central Florida. And her motto was live like a Floridian, not a tourist. Go and experience. And I know, Robin, you do that. You stay off site all the time. And I think that there is this assumption that the only thing to do is theme parks. And if you stay in the bubble, you stay in Disney or in Universal, you're kind of bound to that a little bit, especially if you don't have a vehicle. Whereas actually, do you know what? Take the blinkers off, just see the Central Florida region for what it's worth, and actually that there are other things to do. And we love Disney. I personally love going to the theme parks, and I love going and enjoying all the things that are available. I also love seeing that other stuff and recognizing that it's not the only thing on my trip. So staying away from the bubble, I don't see as a downgrade. And I know that was the question in the mid-month show is how do you stay off site and not feel like you're downgrading?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm upgrading because it opens up so many different options for me. If I sometimes feel a little bit hemmed in when I'm staying, like when I go on my own and I stay in a Disney resort, I feel a little bit guilty about going off site, and that's ridiculous. Even if I'm only going to Target or something, I actually want to have the opportunity to experience other things. So I see it as a massive positive, and then it opens up all of the options about accommodation and how you can not only save a bit of money but open up your different priorities, different things to do, see, eat, experience.
I think Disney have done it right from their perspective, because the whole package is there. You get to go to the resort, you've got food available. You don't need to look outside for a lot of people when you look at a Disney trip, if you're looking at that. And you can see people go back year after year, us included. And only until more recently have we got a car, explored more areas we want to do more. But when you look and actually see the cost of how much it was, I remember seeing a memory up on Facebook from a few years ago where it showed the price we paid for tickets in 2016 versus the cost of what it is now. And it was like how much we did family trip. It was like, I don't think we could do that now and stay on site with everything that we did back then. things have changed so much. And if we were to do that, we probably would think about all of us staying in a villa, because that might be a cheaper or more cost-effective option, especially having a car and being able to pop into the Magic when we wanted
Yeah.
to.
I think also Disney it's very overstimulating. There's so many different sounds, people, noises, the heat. It can get to a point where it feels very intense. Whereas if you leave and you're going somewhere else, to a hotel off site, to a villa, to a friend's house, and you can kind of almost relax and you
Decompress.
get decompress.
Breathe. Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely something to be said for that part of it. And while I do understand that the draw of Disney, I totally get what you mean, Claire. I'm in Disney. I can't waste a single second, she says when she gets to the park at 11 a.m. But you know what I mean? I can't leave. I can't eat off site, because I could go to the Magic Kingdom and have breakfast. Why would I go to Kiki's? I'm right here. Why take all that time to leave? Whereas I think there's beauty in both, and I don't think either is a downgrade or an upgrade.
I think that's really interesting what you comment about overstimulation. And I think for people and families who have anyone with any neurodiversity, sometimes just being in that continual onslaught of stuff, sound, light, noise, people, busyness, buses, beeping in the back, all of that.
That ECV noise I've just got, I can just hear it.
Oh my God. And I include myself in that. Actually, do you know what? I want to embrace the introvert sometimes and just sit quietly somewhere. And I find that quite difficult when I'm staying on site, and retreat to my cave of my room sometimes, just for a couple of hours, where you just want some peace and quiet. And I think that it's worth thinking about how overstimulating that environment can be, and whether that's the right continual onslaught for you and the people that you're traveling with.
You've also got to think, if you're a family of 3 or 4 staying in one room,
no, that's not
for
happening.
2 weeks,
No,
might not be the best idea anyway.
People might survive. You might not survive it by the end of it.
To have that little bit of space, that little bit of quiet time. If you've got your own room in a villa,
privacy,
yeah,
basic privacy.
Basic.
I think we mentioned it, but the guilt of staying on site. You've spent this amount of money on a hotel to be close to Disney. It's like, okay, well, I've paid to stay here. This is going to give me everything. You try and cram absolutely everything in and not focus that actually you're on holiday. You're supposed to be enjoying this, rest, relax.
Yeah. I think that guilt works both ways. I think when you're staying on site, you feel guilty if you're not maximising all your time. But if you're staying off site, you feel like you're cheating on Disney a little bit by doing other stuff. I don't think there's any easy.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I just think about how you like to spend your time. For me, I actually really enjoy having that opportunity to be away from the parks, even if it's for like a morning or just a few hours, and not being constantly, absorbed in everything that's happening.
I think we've actually got a real broad look at this. I really like your thought there, Claire, about that wider Central Florida sort of theory of actually being a resident rather than doing the tourist stuff, because actually they are the bits that you come home and they create some of the most long-term memories.
Totally.
Because actually each day becomes different because you're going to explore it in a slightly different way. The thing for a lot of people to remember that now everyone isn't you're not compelled to actually stay on site. And I think as a family, we never stayed on site for certainly the first, it must be at the first 7 or 8 visits. And then when we stayed on site, it was only we did it for 3 nights, and we just like, okay, that was okay. And eventually we managed a 10-day on-site stay. Now, at that point, I was ready to go to a villa. I don't think I was overstimulated. I just needed time, and I needed space, and I needed, I need it to be in a room when I'm going to sleep, where I'm not listening to my two kids at 6:30 in the morning saying, "Is it time to go to the parks?" And be like, "No, it's not. Go back to sleep."
That's not what you
Yeah.
said. I
No,
guarantee. Or it's not what you thought. It's probably what you said, but it's probably not what you thought.
It was what I said because at the time they were younger.
Yeah.
If it was at the age that they are now, it certainly would be. It would be a little
It'd
bit
be
more
waking them up, wouldn't it? Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
you're probably right, Robin. Actually, I think the roles would be reversed. So again, and I think we're all looking at this on a very, very broad basis because we've all got so many different on-site and off-site experiences, and that's why I really feel that this is such a good conversation to have.
Yeah.
Just to begin with. Now, I know, Ben, you've done a little bit of work on this. I've also done this. I'm really actually regretting pricing some of this stuff up because as I priced it up, I'm instantly thinking, well, that's not happening next year.
Oh no!
and as I did, I'm thinking, oh, the cookies on my computer are going to I'm going to get loads of adverts now, and I'm thinking. Yeah.
You're going to go on Facebook later and it's going to go, oh, here's more Disney stuff. And you're going to get like the advertising follows you around.
Facebook's been listening to me again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's an interesting thing because this summer, just gone, is the first time as a family we've stayed on site, I think, ever.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was for 6 days, and it was the three of. Oh no, that's not true. We stayed at Old Key West. I don't count that as, that is but it's a massive.
It's a very different resort from where you stay.
You still have to count it though.
Okay, so we did stay at Old Key West, but that was for like 3 nights before a cruise. We stayed at Old Key West for 2 weeks before Millie was born. So, and this year we stayed in the beach club with 3 of us, Dan, me and Mills, for 6 nights. And I was ready to leave that resort at the end of 6 nights and move to a villa. Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I like the location. Yeah. But I was just fed up being in the same room.
You're cooped up, aren't you?
Totally.
So the other thing to that, to bear in mind with this, though, Claire, is the fact that, and again, your reasons for having just, for staying last year is basically because you could fit the 3 of you within that same.
Yeah, because Morgan didn't come, so we could do what we wanted.
Yeah.
And so, I actually think this is another thing that really does become very pertinent to some of the thinking and some of the planning here, because if you're going as a party of 2, that's fine. You can actually work around that, and you will actually get your hotel room at the given price and stuff like that. If you go in maybe for example, a family of 5, you're basically looking at 2 hotel rooms, and you actually that racks up that price.
Double the price.
Yeah,
absolutely astronomically, and your price per night stay becomes. Well, in my eyes, it becomes a bit of a problem.
It's where you find it's cheaper to leave some family at home.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Because I don't think even those rooms at Sleep 5 where you've got 2 double beds and then the pull down.
I wouldn't know that 5 people.
I think the difference
for
is
2 weeks.
Oh, that's the thing, Robin. That was what I was going to say. It's the length of time, because a lot of people might only go for on-site for a few days, but when people are planning and looking
for a couple of days,
people are looking for like 2 weeks, and it's like you're not going to get space, and it's just
It's just all I can think of is the stuff everywhere, and I would find that like 5 people's worth of stuff in one room. 5 people trying to use the shower, trying to get ready, trying to use the toilet. No,
do you think
to me that's just a no? But that's me.
So a lot of them don't have the storage space for 5.
No, they don't have the storage. They barely have the storage for me.
Suitcase for 2 weeks.
Do you think that people who are travelling, and I'm talking about perhaps those who've maybe only been once or twice, or perhaps this is their first trip. Do you think they understand? Tell us in the chat, actually. Tell us in the Waffles Up. Do you understand that there are alternatives that are easily accessible? Or is it that Disney marketing is so brilliant that people think the only thing to do is stay on site? Because I think that there's probably a bit of an underground community of villa owners and all of those types of off-site resorts that people see as they're they're a secondary thing, because when you go onto a website, like you can go to a travel agent website and you type in what you want to do, Disney holidays, or you go to Virgin or BA or TUI or all of those different things from the UK. And where do you want to stay? Walt Disney World. The first things that come up are the Disney resorts. And it's like, this is the prime, this is the premiere. Well, it is, apart from 5 of us are trying to share one bedroom. So actually, what are the alternatives? And I wonder whether actually it's badged in that way to try, because they're more expensive, or there's a bigger kick. I don't know from a travel agency perspective. If I was looking for a trip, I would be immediately going, where can I make sure that I am not going to kill my family for the next 2 weeks?
It's a search thing. You type in Disney, the thing you're going to get is Disney. So
Right.
People aren't searching for
adverts.
Orlando.
Yeah.
People are going like, if I want to go, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to Orlando.
I've got to stay at,
I'm going to Disney World. I want to go to Disney World because that's the main thing I want to do on holiday. So Disney would be what comes up as your top result.
But even then, if you go onto Virgin or BA's website or TUI or whoever, and you type in Orlando, you get hotels.
Yeah.
And you get Disney hotels.
And you get Disney hotels, but you get Hydro hotels, and you get a
192.
And 192 hotels.
Yeah.
You very rarely get villas.
You do sometimes get villas, but you have to kind of look for them a little bit, and they tend to be.
That's the thing. People don't look for.
People don't look, but also I think it's because there are a lot of scaremongering on about villas booked through travel agencies. And
Valid scaring.
I think that's
would
a
say.
good call. That I think that's a
Valid.
really good call.
But people then go, well, I want to book this package holiday all in one place.
Yeah.
I want to book it as a
absolutely.
package. I don't trust the villas from these places, so therefore I'm going to book a company
I don't want to
that
be
I trust.
responsible for booking something separately.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I can understand that.
And I think that's the biggest cost save we've found is booking stuff separately can save you a lot of money. But on the other hand, the protection you get from Atoll and APTA from package holiday and combining things actually can be beneficial. With the package we've actually booked a package for January because it worked out cheaper. I think it's £1,400 for the week, and that's flights and hotel.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We worked out on Virgin's prices that it was only costing us £200 for the room.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a no-brainer.
And that for me is the crux to this. You have to be prepared to either you go with what a travel agent provides, and if you trust your travel agent and you go with either a travel consultant or you go with someone that you inherently trust, that's fine. I personally would steer clear of the high street. I think there's better travel consultancies to be had online. I also feel that if you actually put a little bit of work into it and you want to go down the villa front, there are places online. I use the company Verbo purely out of, not from an advertising point of view, but purely from the fact that you can actually cancel the villa that you've booked right up until I think it's about a month before you actually go. Now that in a way is quite reassuring, and it's free cancellation. So if you get a better offer of maybe staying on site or there's a reduction moving forward, you still have that wriggle room to actually change your plans. Now I like that, and that's certainly one of my sort of things. I would also use a lot of different review sites. I wouldn't necessarily just go for Verbo reviews. I would do a little bit of digging, see if there's anything on TripAdvisor, and I would and just generally get to the bottom of either the area or the specific villa that you want to stay in.
Yeah.
The truth will be out there somewhere. And I think that's the bit to always remember. It's the fact that, in this day and age, it's not a case that, if someone, and I think, Robin, you probably alluded to this a moment ago, and I think that's where a lot of big holiday companies, I won't name names, but their stock of villa rentals are very well used, but also they're not always
very well used.
They're not in the best, not in the best shape when you, not in the best shape when you turn up as well, and you get that on a lot of go on to Facebook groups, etc.
Totally.
The evidence is there for you to actually go away with. I think,
villa owners that I know personally tend to have the opinion of villa owners who care about their villa and the upkeep of it don't use those companies because they take such a big cut. They're like, you can't possibly keep your villa maintained for what's left for you. So they don't tend to use them. They tend to rent them out themselves because they can do it. They keep, I mean, I'm sure Verbo take a percentage or whatever. But the rest they keep, and I mean, from what I understand, most of these people then put the money back into their villas because they want them to be, they want to be able to charge enough for them, in which case they need to keep them up to a high standard. And again, it goes back to you get what you pay for. I booked a villa for my family back in 2010 and it was cheap. And it was actually I will name and shame. It came from the Dib. It was a villa owner on the Dib, but it was cheap. And it was cheap. And the electric went off one day. All of our food spoiled because they hadn't paid the electric. And it was very tired. So you get what you pay for. I definitely there are so many different villas out there for different budgets, for in different areas, for different many amounts of people.
Right. And I think it's quite interesting when you look at what you get for your money. And I know that this is a conversation we've had before. And I had a conversation with my cousin. Their property, they have a townhouse in Championsgate. So what Nikki said to me was that she doesn't think that most of their rentals come from US residents who understand the homeowners association process, which is what all of these properties, if they're in like a community, they're all part of an HOA. So there are specific requirements of them that they have to maintain, whether that be gardens and garbage and all of that stuff. And so most of their rentals come from US guests. And she thinks that UK visitors don't recognise the additional benefits that you sometimes can get with a off-site property. Things like, actually there's a clubhouse, there's a big pool, you get free green fees, if you're playing golf, and all the different options. And I think that you're absolutely right, Robin. Responsible owners will reinvest into their property to make sure that it is, because there's such competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have something that looks tired, people just won't rebook, and they'll tell their friends not to book it. So actually, I think
they'll give you a bad review.
Someone's got a bad experience. More people are going to write a bad review than people actually leave a good review.
Yeah,
you're not going to want to moan about it. And also, they will tell all the friends, family, and just go like, no, if you're going next time, don't go this one. We stayed in it, and it wasn't great.
So let's start with that as a starting point for looking at a villa. I was going to start elsewhere, but let's look at that. So if that happens, look at the date at which the review was left, and see if there's a trend over possibly the last 12 months. But also dig a bit deeper. Has the property changed hands within a time frame? Because what you tend to find is if someone's getting bad reviews, they will generally sell up, and then someone else takes it on, and then they can actually try and restart that whole rental process, and it becomes it's a trying to kick against it, and the newly refurbished and new owners and such like, and it probably, if you have experienced something like that, it has a history trail to it as well. So again, reviews can actually be a real good indicator as to where.
I always read the reviews.
But whether it's an upward trending villa where you actually know that, this place has been refreshed, or someone where people are saying, the pans weren't great, there wasn't enough of this, it appears as if such and such isn't working. And I think it becomes quite clear if you read with a general and a wider sense. Now, if you go and you just basically look, it's got 4 stars out of 5, we couldn't possibly actually dig deeper, go and do a bit of detective work, because it's worth doing.
Yeah, I think what I did was I got some photos from Nikki just as an example of what you can get at Championsgate. Now they have updated their house. Let me just for those who are watching on YouTube, that's their kitchen, and this is
very nice.
Very nice.
So it's really sleek and modern. And this is their, they've got really nice
We should
room.
drop Nikki a message next time I'm looking for a villa.
Yeah.
And they've updated their bedrooms, all of them. So the villa actually is 4 bedrooms and it sleeps 10. And they
Wow.
redid all of it. I'm just having a look for the villa, the room that I think Robin's gonna like.
It's not bright pink, is it?
The flamingos.
Maybe. Oh yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
they are massive Hawaii fans, so they sort
Yeah.
of tried to put some of their love of Hawaii and stuff into the villa. Yeah, their lounges.
Yeah.
It's very clean.
You can tell that
That's
they
the sort of
have
villa that I would be
looked
looking
after
for.
it.
Yeah.
Every time
So
we've looked
they've-
at this before, we've gone, oh, everything's got outdated furnished things that
right.
literally from the 70s.
Fake house plants.
And I'm just
Exactly. There's none of that. Everything is digital in the building because it's a relatively new build. It's in the middle of Champions Gate in terms of, and for most dates apart from like Thanksgiving and Christmas, that villa that sleeps 10 is less than £200 a night.
Yeah.
So actually, you're
And
talking about if you
That's
fill
where
its capacity,
that's a starting point.
20 quid a person per night.
And that's the thing. That's for when we've been looking at villas recently, because that's what we're looking at, like different sort of ways to make a holiday to Orlando cheaper. And
Mhm.
we found a 4-bedroom one that ticks all of our boxes, which is cheaper than a moderate resort.
Exactly. And
So
you have that amount of space. You know, if you have an argument, you could have a different room.
You've got a snorer. You've
But that's
Right,
what
There's a private pool.
They don't.
where's what's confused us, because there's only 2 of us. Why would we need a villa? But
We don't
actually,
have that much space.
our holidays
Sleep
are
in a
now-
different room each night.
our holidays are different now because we're not going to the park from rope drop to fireworks, and we just need a place to sleep. Actually, somewhere just to chill out and relax and decompress from the
Yeah.
parks is actually more needed than what I
If
think.
we
it
didn't have
was.
our DVC points anyway.
That's true.
And I think that's really quite an important thing to recognise. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're a group of 2, 3, 4, or 10. You then have choices, and and that's the beauty of all this. You can actually go if obviously there are villas out there that do cost
Of course.
a whole deal more, which
Reunion,
obviously
we're
which
looking at
obviously-
you.
yeah, but they have additional things. So and again, build a bucket list of things that you want from your own holiday. If you want to stay in a villa, right, you want pool. If you're one of these people who doesn't like going into cooler water, then look at how much it costs to get just a little bit of pool heat, even in the summer. It makes a
You
massive
don't need it in the
difference.
summer. You
Oh,
don't
you
need
do.
it in the
You
summer.
can, you,
do.
you
No,
can,
you
though.
don't.
Depends what you are,
No,
Robin.
you don't.
Oh, for
There
me.
you go.
Let us know in the comments. If
Yeah.
you're watching on YouTube, just let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Would you have pool heat during August?
Yeah.
My friend has pool heat on his pool, and I was so hot, and I was like thinking, oh, I can have a
down
dip
a
in his
bit.
pool, and I was like, oh, that's like
I
hardcore.
cannot bear a cold pool.
Yeah.
Even
It's-
in the
Even in
blistering
summer.
heat.
Yeah.
It's
It's
never
re-
cold in the
It-
summer though.
It is.
It was a
Maybe
game.
maybe
it
it's
was
a
a game
giant
changer
pool where
for
you
us.
stay.
It was a game changer. This summer, my wife would not ever usually go into a villa pool if it was cold.
I won't go in
one,
if it's cold. I'm
it's what- but
such a
it's-
wuss.
But it's one of the nice things about being at Disney, because you know that the pools there are generally quite nicely heated and things like
They're
that.
consistent.
It depends where you are.
So
Yeah.
if it's solar heating, then it's relying on the sun to heat it up. That's maybe a nice little thing to just be aware of. If you get a little bit of pool heat that just raises that temperature of the pool, it makes a big difference. From there, do you want a hot tub? Because there are some villas that you can actually get a separate hot tub. You can get a separate, even a plunge pool and a hot tub. The options are there. If you've got kids, a lot of villas have garages that are turned into a games room, or, as Claire found out at your place in the summer,
An amazing cinema.
an amazing cinema room. And so villa owners are absolutely trying to draw you in with different amenities and different things. And actually, once you're aware of that and you're not in the car at 8 a.m. every morning trying to get for rope drop, staying out all day, and then coming back and then just sleeping. You actually then plan your actual theme park experience so much better, because you can actually then decide, well, we'll go in later, we'll have a pool morning, we'll go in for the afternoon, and then maybe when we come back, we'll get something to eat, and then we'll come back and we'll have a go in the pool before you go to bed. And that's the whole thing. It just allows for just a different pace. I think is probably the way I would describe it.
And I think there's no right or wrong way to do a holiday. It's your choice.
Well,
You've got to find out what works for you, because the prices that I got, and I chose August because it's quite a popular time for Brits to go over to Florida. And especially if you choose the last 2 weeks, it's quieter than
that'll go.
Well, it was weird when first time we went August this year, and all I could hear was British accents everywhere. It was surprising. So
Yeah.
so the
That's
prices
because you went to the Rose and Crown for the first time.
Yeah, that's all right. We only have to wait. Was it another like 10
years,
12 years to go again? So yeah, Disney Value Resort. So I chose Pop Century for 14 nights. It's £2,400. This is just for hotel only.
So I worked something similar out on that, Ben. So irrespective, the dates might be different, but I worked that out as price per night. So it might your price and my price might not correlate, but it won't be far away. For a value for 14 nights, I was at £141 per night, which I thought, okay, that's fine, and go with that. Go on, tell me the next one.
Moderate one was Disney's Caribbean Beach, because it was the cheapest one of the time. £3,600 for 2 weeks.
Okay, you're selling it to me.
Yeah, and Disney Deluxe, if anyone wants to go for Disney's Beach Club Resort for 2 weeks, £6,655.
Yeah.
And the offsite villa that we found,
that's what, 507.
£500
nearly £500. Yeah.
And the offsite villa, so it's a 4-bed villa, private pool, the standard that we looked at. I'll post some pictures up soon of it. And the cheapest during that same time was £2,800 for a 4-bedroom villa.
So that is exactly what I'm paying.
So that was £800. Villa. There was £800 less than the moderate resort, Caribbean Beach.
So the 2,800 is what we're paying for our 5-bedroom villa in Formosa Gardens that we've stayed at twice before in August.
Which is £200. Which is £200 a night.
It's kind of, when you think it, like as you said before, Ben and Becca, when you go as a couple, there must be a part of you that think, well, why would I go and stay in a villa where I can stay in Disney for less? But as soon as you've got more, I mean, there is still argument for it, because there is. If you like a villa, then go and stay in a villa. If you want your own pool, go and stay in a villa with your own pool. Like, there's definitely something.
If you want to go skinny dipping, don't stay
still
in a
illegal.
villa.
Still illegal. Yeah, still illegal. Yeah.
Really?
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but yes, you can't do that in case you could be seen. I think. I'm sure it's. I think it's illegal.
Too much information there.
Slightly concerned more about the CCTV cameras that are left on the property.
No, I've not done it. If you want to, you're not going to do it in a Disney pool, but you might do it in your own villa.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, and that actually, I think that's another thing to think of in respect. Not
going
just,
skinny dipping.
No, not just about privacy, but
I'm worried about John's wish list of like what's happening on a holiday.
Completely private pool, so I can't be seen.
What I was going to say was that if you're in the Disney pool, there's that many people who use that pool on a daily basis that. It is basically sort of the general swim.
Do you want a themed pool, or do you want just your private pool for holiday?
That's what it allows you the chance to actually decide as well.
I might actually go in a private pool. To be fair, I don't like going in the Disney pools. I don't mind laying by them, but I don't like going in them.
And why? Can I ask why you don't like going in them?
Because I don't like going into a bath of people's soup.
Right. So this is exactly the point. You're going into basically a warm pond of water with everybody else's bacteria. Or you can go into your own. I think you're right, Becca. I think some people have an ick about that, and some people
Yeah.
really don't care, and they're quite happy to swim with anyone, and that's okay.
Put enough bleach in there, it's fine.
But think about how you and whoever you're traveling with feel about it. You know, if you don't particularly like sharing what was probably quite a warm, bacteria infested pond.
And there's also the people who don't like being in a swim costume or in swim shorts, who feel self-conscious. I'm sad that they feel that way, but it might be
in front of
something
other
to
people.
consider.
They feel uncomfortable, whereas in their own pool, actually, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think there are those people exist. One thing we didn't mention though when we came to the price comparison is parking. Parking can really add up. If you're staying in a villa, chances are you're probably going to have a car because you really do need one in a villa. You can get by with Ubers, but you probably need a car. You have to pay for parking, whereas if you stay on site at Disney, you don't. And I think has it gone up to $35 a day?
It is $35.
So
which equates to $490 if you go 14
Every
days.
day.
That's a huge amount when you think
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
When you are actually doing the numbers and working out, there are some things that you are going to. And I think when we've looked at it, we try to work out what do we spend. So actually, if we're staying at Disney Hotel, we're more likely to eat more expensive breakfast and food options because it's closer. Where actually, if you're in a villa, we've got a car, we can go to Kiki's, we can go to lots of other.
We've got a kitchen.
Got a kitchen. You
You've
can,
got a
you can
kitchen,
eat in.
right?
So it's one of those things that actually you might be spending more on one, and you might go. Actually, I'll go Disney because it's free parking and that side of it. But actually, you got to work out. Actually, do I want that, or do I just want standard breakfast I can have, and then just
absolutely
and pay?
And I think your point about having a car or Ubering is the other thing. You know, if you're close enough, and certainly the location of the villa that we rent, and I know the one that John stayed in this summer, to Uber to a park was certainly less than $35. But
what, to and from?
To Uber there and back.
Yeah, sometimes was less.
Yeah, you could get,
but
definitely.
The knock-on of that was because we weren't driving, you'd spend more in the park on beer. So, you know, you kind of, it's like cause and effect, you know, either you drive and you save money on alcohol because someone's got to drive, or you get an Uber and then you spend more on booze. You know, you might have an extra beer or a glass of wine that you might not have done before. So, you know, I think you're going to spend the money either way. It depends how you want to spend the money. And if you want to have a car and park on site, then, you know, yes, it is going to cost you unless you got an annual pass, unless you got DVC. You know, so there are alternatives.
Yeah.
I
Can I also just chuck another one?
Sorry, John.
Sorry, Robin. Can I just chuck another one into the mix though? Because actually, you're talking about where you stay, Claire, and that actually is around the 192. If you go and you're prepared to travel that little bit further out, before the show, I was, you know, obviously, I'm quite worried now. I'm going to get spammed by so many different villa adverts.
That'd be great because you'll find a brilliant one for next year.
Well, I found one that's actually just a little bit beyond Champions Gate, but it's next to Mystic Dunes. It's kind of on that way up towards
Golf resort way,
past Emerald Isle and things like that. Right. So I know the area. It's pretty handy for everything, right? It's still an 8-minute drive to Animal Kingdom. It's got a pool. It's got a spa tub. It says it's a hot tub, but whether or not it's heated or not, you might have to pay extra. But you're looking at £130 a night, right? And you're just like, oh my word!
You know, how many does that sleep, John?
Sleeps 8. There's four bedrooms. And that was just by chance. That wasn't even, and that was me just sort of, it's now gone to, it'll now go to another little bit of a review to actually see exactly what it's got to offer. Because actually at that price, you're thinking, oh my word, that for 2 weeks, that is like £1,800. And I'm like,
that's less than your flights.
Yeah.
Significantly less.
And, but just as a game changer, you know, I really feel that, you know, I think I said about our trip this year when there was only two of us, I'd actually expected to just be in a hotel. And when we sat down and said exactly what we wanted from it, the hotel we thought would be the cheaper option, and it wasn't. And that surprised both of us, in so much as the fact that we were in a villa that was way too big for two people. However, it cost wise, it actually meant that there was a mass. Well, there wasn't a massive saving in the end because we chose to get Universal tickets. But that, if you tell yourself,
He gave you
Choose how to spend your money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's got a budget, and
Yeah.
it's how you choose to spend it.
And you
Yeah.
mentioned Universal there, John. Actually, I've
Yeah.
looked up like Universal hotels to work out the actual cost, because we all talk about Disney a lot, and I think a lot of that is because it's people see free dining, you see the free nights offer. There's so many adverts in the UK for like book a Disney trip. Obviously, there's more around Epic this year, but the variety and actual cost, if you discount the premium deluxe ones where you get like the express passes, the actual sort of standard ones from Endless Summer, they're cheaper than Disney. But the
Yes.
actual quality of the rooms are better
They're newer.
and they're newer. But actually, that's something that you need to look at a cost
Yeah.
to work out. But the only thing you need to think about if you do book a Universal hotel is you do have to pay parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like $25 a day.
Parking costs on top.
Parking on top. And then obviously one thing I did see that Universal have started, which I'm hoping Disney might do, especially if you are parking at the parks, that you can pre-book and save 10%. So it's like $33, but it goes back to 30.
Lloyd had that conversation and saved a ton of money, didn't he?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
now they've started doing it on the app now. So if you know the days you're going to Universal, you can pre-book the parking. So you don't have to go through and tap your card. You just go and show your phone that, and it gives you a QR code and it lets you
That's
through.
good. That's good.
It's quite handy. Might speed up going in as well,
Mm.
because sometimes it can be a bit of a
A bit
queue
slow.
at the
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. If I do a caveat, I don't know if we were talking past any other sort of accommodation. I didn't know. I didn't want to butt in with other accommodation ideas. If you were just thinking
Go
villa
on,
versus
hit us
hotel.
with it.
The other option is also if you want a bit of space, but you maybe can't afford a villa, don't want a villa, would rather a hotel experience. Some people don't want to feel quote unquote isolated. I don't think you necessarily do, but they might feel a bit isolated in a villa. Is you could go for like a hotel that has apartments.
Yeah.
So like a 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
bed, places like the Floridays, the Lake Buena Vista Hotel. They have, and even some of the Universal hotels, I think, do 1 and 2 bed apartments. So you've got a bit more space if you don't want to feel all on top of each other, or if you want a kitchen so you can cook some meals in. There are some great options if you want a bit more space but you don't want a villa.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know, you've hit a chord with me there, because actually, what you can also do is you can actually look on sort of, I think it was at like so hotels.com and booking.com, etc. But places that are timeshare, and obviously you are not a timeshare owner, but they do release some of the apartments where you can actually you basically get even if it's a 1, 2, 3 night stay, even up to a 7 or 14 day stay, but you can actually stay within that kind of environment where it is very much sort of apartment based, but you're part of a bigger community, and and you
I think
have
it's because
some
with
amazing
timeshare,
facilities.
I think it's no law around timeshare that they have to do, is it 10%?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
they
can
have
only
to
sell 90% of them through like their scheme, and then the 10% has to be done through cash purchases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
actually,
quite
there are some
comfort.
fantastic places. We've stayed at Orange Lake a few times, and the actual kitchens and the bathrooms within those places are really an absolute joy to be in.
Yeah.
You're not at a disadvantage, and actually, the cost saving is something. And again, just do find out if they charge a resort fee, because some places do. This
While
way.
you were
Look
talking,
at-
I just had a quick look at like the suites that you get, like Homewood Suites and Spring Hill
Yes.
Suites up
Yeah.
by Flamingo Crossing, because that is
Yeah.
5 minutes
The
off
new-
site. Yep.
The new and up and coming area.
Right.
All brand new hotels.
$134 a night in August next summer.
Oh my word!
And that is for a bedroom, lounge, and kitchen.
Yeah.
And that's a 5-minute drive off site. So,
Yep.
you know, there is, and that sleeps 4. So in 2 different rooms. So that there are definitely alternatives that actually, whilst they're not Disney property, it releases your cash. It releases the money that you have saved to be able to go on this trip, to use it in a way that's different. And my personal view is I would rather spend my money on the things I enjoy doing than somewhere that I'm sleeping. And that's not to say that I'm compromising on the quality, because actually the villa that I choose or the wherever is still super nice. Like the villa we sleep at, the villa that we booked is by far the nicest
very
villa that we
nice.
have ever stayed in.
Yeah.
And it's still saving me money because I'm prepared to go away from staying in that Disney bubble. Because I can go and experience all of that fun.
There is one
during the
benefit
day.
you do get. You get to drive under that sign every time you go onto property.
Yeah,
That's one benefit.
Yeah.
and there is something very smug about driving home going, I'm not giving you all my money every single night. It's like having an annual pass and not paying for parking. Every time I do that, I go, that's paying you $35.
It's all about the calculations, the spreadsheet. We've said it so many times, but you just got
Do the
you have a
math.
budget. You got to work to it, and you got to try and you want to try and stretch it as much as you can. And sometimes actually giving up a bit of Disney, and you could do what Claire, you did this time, doing a split stay. So if you want to stay on site for a few nights to get some of
That's
the
what I was
perks,
about. That was
some of
about
the
what I was going to
benefits.
say, Ben. Yeah.
And how many times that we've done a lot of split stays in Disney itself, where we've decided to stay in one location to another, but we're now looking at like, do we do a week on site, then we do a week in a villa?
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Actually, it was literally on the tip of my tongue. Like the question was, how do you get over sort of that downgrade? How do you get your head around that downgrade to stay off site? If it's something that's really important to you, and you're like, you don't want to really think about other options, but finances mean you either have to think about other options or you can't go. Could you stay for a couple of nights in Disney and get a little bit of the Disney magic? I have a friend that's recently went and they stayed off site, and she was just her and her kids, and she booked a couple of nights here, there, and everywhere through her trip. She kept her hotel off site. She had an apartment hotel. She kept that the whole time, and then she'd take her kids and they'd do one night. They did like one night in Animal Kingdom. They enjoyed all the things that were on offer. They used the pool. They explored all the animals, ate dinner, and then they did a couple of other nights throughout the trip. So they got some of the Disney magic. I have a friend that just did it so they could do the Mickey's Not So Scary, and they booked a Magic Kingdom resort, so they didn't have to go far just that night.
That's exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
We've done Wilderness Lodge and we've done Bay Lake Tower on the night that we did Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yeah. Because then you do get some of that the Disney magic. If that's what's really important to you, and it's not going to be the same holiday without it, find something that means that your budget will stretch for a couple of nights here or there, and do it that way.
And there's lots of different ways of booking a Disney hotel as well. You don't always have to book directly with Disney.
Well, I actually think that could be the next sort of part of how we plan all this out, because I know we're going to try. We won't go into depth on this, because actually I think renting DVC points to pay for a Disney hotel stay could actually help that little gap. But we will do a different show on that, because I actually think it's a minefield. I have no idea about it. I've got friends who've done it and found that the saving is absolutely amazing, and you get a whole lot of that magic as well. And like you said, Robin, one of the nicest things that you can do is, if you actually got somewhere, you can keep the same room. Don't cancel your booking. Just leave your stuff there. Take what you need, and then just have one night away. And you've actually saved that amount of so much money that you actually you've left one place empty whilst you've gone and stayed somewhere else, and you don't feel guilty for it, because
You still save money.
You're up on the deal. Yeah. You know, I think it really is. It is one of those things. Claire, I know you use DVC points. I think we'll come back to this, and we'll do this as a separate show, because actually I think we're going to open a can of worms that really does,
exciting ones, and
but it does need delving into. Yeah, totally. Because actually, for a lot of people, from what we've talked about already, the whole notion of either staying completely off-site might be something that has never been on someone's radar, but then mixing it up and having a split stay of partially on-site, or partially at Universal, or partially in a different hotel chain that you can find that you can use different points to actually fund that as well. There's ways and means about this, and actually what's intriguing, and again, go back to that price per night stay, because that, for me, that's such a massive part of seeing where your value comes for actually, is it actually worth that £600 a night to stay for one night at the beach club, when actually you could stay in a villa for, that's 4 days stay in a villa.
Yeah, that's amazing to think about. I can't wrap my head around that. And it was when you mentioned about DVC points, we've had incredible experience last year when we had the cruise, because we booked Pop Century for the 2 nights before, just wanted to get there early and do it. But we actually saved money by renting DVC points and staying at Old Key West.
I think
there we go.
I think there is something about renting DVC points that's a bit confusing, and certainly until I've done it, and this is no secret. I've mentioned it. I've rented DVC points next May when I go on my own, for exactly that reason, Ben. For 5 nights at Pop, it was £1,200. For 5 nights at Old Key West in a studio, for me on my own, was $850. Which works out
about £600.
So half the price for a deluxe resort. And yes, I am not on the Skyliner, and yes, it's a 10-minute further bus journey. I'll suck that up. Thanks very much for that sort of saving. So I think, and we're actually renting DVC points for a couple of nights when we go in August next year, because of the saving that's offered. But it is confusing, and to get your head around it and to go, well, what do I need to do? What am I getting for it? And how does it work? And what's the risk? And what happens if this doesn't work out? And the first time I did it, I was really anxious. I was going to turn up and then go, no, that's not your name. All of that stuff. So I think let's do a whole show about renting DVC points and how it works, what your options are, how to do it, and actually where the benefits and the savings are. John, it's going to cost you money, but not so much money.
It's going to save you.
Not as much money as you think.
Save you money. This is Disney maths. It's going to save you money.
It will. But I actually think this is so doable.
It's the same Disney maths as when you buy an annual pass to save on parking.
There we go.
There is no question that if you're going more than twice in a year, an annual pass saves you money. I've evidenced that last year. Save £4,500.
Right.
Even if you go in once a year, you can go end of August one year, beginning of August next year. Annual pass.
It definitely saves you money. But that's
it's two trips is the
2 trips in
for
12
me,
months.
is the maths on it.
But let's talk about renting DVC points, because there are so many different ways of doing it and routes into it. But I think the key is understanding what you're trying to do, and the fact that you can save money if you get it right. So
and also I think, Ben, you mentioned this earlier as well, is the fact that it's not our holiday, it's your holiday. So if you listen to this and you think, oh well, those guys are actually way off target from what I want, then that's fine. We understand that, because actually, if you want to go and you want to spend
stay Grand Floridian
wherever you want, then that's your holiday, because actually you've got that choice to make. And I would never like to say, oh, you have to go and stay here. And that's why I think we've been very careful not to sort of say, oh, if you're going to rent a villa, go and stay in certain places. I actually made a list of the different places that we stayed in a villa for the show, and actually it's very rare that it's only recently we've kind of migrated close to the 192. We stayed at some places way out, right up at the top of the 27 and beyond. Lake Wilson Preserve is like the far end of Champions Gate, but it's the most beautiful place. And I think we've been there 3 times. but each and every time it was perfect for what we wanted as a family. And we went, was it West Haven?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
which is on the 27.
Yeah.
Absolutely
There's loads of
incredible.
options. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And actually, it has its own beer pump.
I think it's worth mentioning that if you're looking at renting a villa, you will not be able to short-term rent a villa north of the 192. So anything north of Walt Disney World, basically, or north of the 192, you cannot rent a short-term rent. If you're on the 27, it's slightly different, but anything within that Lake Buena Vista north up towards
Anything near
Winter
Universal.
Haven, Universal, Windermere, any of Dr. Phillips, any of that area, that is not short-term rental. So that's why you don't see any properties up there like on Verbo and stuff in that area. They are long-term rental only, so they are 6 month plus. So that's why all the short-term rentals are sort of south of the 192. But do you know what? That works if you're there for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. It's not a problem. But that, in case anyone's wondering,
or 3 or 4 weeks. If you actually, we're planning the most massive trip, and actually
another most massive trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're paying for the flights, you might as well stay for as long as you can, mightn't you?
Well, I agree. I
love
agree.
it.
Yeah.
I actually think that point there, though, Claire, is that's a danger. I think I'm close to that at the moment. But that's the thing to also remember is when you're looking for a villa, just look for what you want, and if it's
What's
not
important
there,
to you?
but if it's not there, and I've actually put the Verbo map up, and if you try and just put Orlando in and put your dates in, it actually gives you every single place, and it shows you on the map. So look carefully, look at the cost. It gives you in pounds, which is quite helpful because it actually makes it more realistic for the length of stay. But then when you start playing with the map, you then start seeing the further away you get, the cheaper the prices become. But for actually much bigger, strangely enough, for much bigger property, but you're paying less price. And again, it's that whole bit about location being the most golden part of all of this. But it's, I'm not going to tell you where to go and stay, but just go and do some work. Because like I said at the start of the show, it becomes addictive because you start thinking,
I love looking at
I
villas.
quite like that.
It's dangerous.
It's great.
It's even worse if you start subscribing to Zillow, where the ones are for sale, and you get those bigger pictures. They're even worse.
The problem is, you scroll through on TikTok, and it's got all these families that have moved from the UK to the Florida. I'm like, I wish. And then you go open Zillow and go, how much is that?
Yeah, I wouldn't, but I do quite like looking at them. Anyway.
Yeah.
When it comes to looking for villas, I actually have a personal recommendation as well. If you are listening and you're thinking, villa sounds good. If you're on Facebook, there is a group called It's Orlando Time Villas, and it's a villa owner group, and it's run by villa owners. You don't have the same protections if you book by VRBO, but the owners check everyone. Everyone has to have their licensing on their villa advert. The villa owners check each and every one that they are who they say they are. And it's another way that you can put your dates in there, and then every owner that's got availability will write on it, so you can have a look and see what's available. And it can be a bit cheaper because, again, they're not paying fees to an outside company.
And the outside company, actually, I've met to the one that we were looking at, and it's with also Verbo, but also Airbnb.
Yeah.
So both of them charge different fees. So actually, it's cheaper through one platform than it is through another.
That's absolutely exactly the right, and that's how Nikki and Simon have with their place. They're on Airbnb mostly because the fees are a little bit cheaper. If anyone wants to look at that villa, let us know. Message me, and I'll put you in contact.
Yeah,
but they are. I think just as an example of what you can get for your money, though, if you're prepared to travel that little bit further to Champions Gate, or particularly if you like golf, or actually, it's a good area to be in. And I think
Champions Gate used to be a nightmare, and I used to say, I'm not staying at Champions Gate because the I-4 to get to Disney is 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and since, I I was staying at Liz's house. She
Yeah.
lives in
She
Championsgate.
does, yeah.
When they opened
The
the
new
I4, the new lane, and
Yeah.
it went from 40-minute journey to 12 minutes.
Right.
And it's like 15 minutes on average. It's about 15 minutes now.
It is such
It's
a no-brainer.
crazy the difference. It's
Yeah.
changed, and it's now changed my view. Championsgate's such a nice area.
It's lovely.
It's
Really beautiful.
quiet. It's a little bit elite. I
It's
quite like
good.
watching the golfers with the girls going around on the golf carts with the drinks for the golfers as they're playing. It's quite fun. But actually, it's a really nice environment, particularly
It's very nice.
if you like
It
watching
feels very posh.
people watching. It feels
Yeah.
quite nice, and it's all gated and coded as well. Which some, when you're looking at different villa communities, some are open and some are gated. I don't know. There's a benefit to being gated other than the fact that you have to give your code. You have to give your code to the Uber driver or whatever. So most of them know them anyway.
I don't know. Liz's one, they won't let anyone in. They'll phone her to say, "Are you expecting an Uber driver or are you expecting a delivery?" They won't just give. They won't allow her. She can't give the code out to anyone else. It's literally a sticker in her car. There's no code. So
That's good.
yeah. But hers is not. Her area is not zoned for short-term rentals.
Right. So it's a residential rent. Yeah. Right.
I know. I keep looking at it. Keep coming up for sale, and I'm like, Simon, really want it. He's not on board yet. So what's the space?
I think that's again, that is another whole different show because again, when you actually stayed in a villa and you actually fall in love with the whole notion of the space and time it actually affords you then start looking. And then you start racking up how much you've paid in villa rental over the year, and you're thinking, okay, right, so could I actually do? And when you start doing that, and then just like
dangerous game,
just, how much do I pay in annual dues to DVC versus how much it would cost in HOA fees?
I know,
not much different.
But when the roof goes and it needs reshingled, it's on
and you're
you.
not there.
And when the aircon goes and it doesn't work and somebody's on a holiday, it's on you. And when you just think, right, hang on, I'm too far away to actually deal with that. And I don't know whether it's.
Then you end up paying management company fees, and it kind of defeats the purpose. I don't know. It's like if you bought a property 10 years ago. At the prices they were at, they were probably bargains. You were picking up a 4-bedroom, fully furnished, brand new villa for $400,000.
I think
now
it might be 20 years on that, Claire.
Even 10 years ago, they were definitely. And now the prices are not worth it.
No,
it will come round again. Yeah, keep watching.
Yeah,
definitely.
They're having a bit of a crash there at the moment. So just wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, ride it out. I've got I know someone who listens to the show who we keep sharing that same
team effort, team villa
message.
Yeah, we could all club together.
That'd be so cool.
Now we're talking.
Wasn't that once we said if we won the lottery, we'd get a house at Golden Oak.
Golden Oak. Yeah. I think John and Lloyd were going to be the pool boys, weren't they?
Yeah, we were cutting the grass on one end, right on.
Yeah.
Cutting the grass.
Sailing off into the distance. It'd be like Mulholland Drive, the David Lynch film, wouldn't it? It's just I actually, do you know something? I actually feel that is probably. Once we've gone from the whole reality of going off site, we're now into the fantasy island stuff as well.
Let's quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to draw close to the show. But I tell you what, thanks guys for so many, just widening this to such an extent that it's going to cost me, and actually I've got my fingers just even now. Because I've got how many screens open on the computer, I'm just in that bit where I just need to just press book now. And it's just like, I'm off. And that's what I hope the show does. I hope it gives people a little bit of inspiration to actually know that there are so many different options, and actually not just saving money, but actually seeing the wider area, like Claire said at the start of the show, because actually it is a most amazing place. And the moment that you get out with not just the Disney bubble, the Universal bubble, and you actually begin to see sort of just Florida life. It changes your whole perception, and then it probably becomes even more addictive, and you want to go back again. So be warned. But as always, a big thank you, Robin, Claire, Ben, and Becca. That has been such a blast. For everyone listening, we are in November. Wrap up warm. Remember, you can always come and join us. Check out all of our socials at GB Mickey Waffle for any updates, new shows, and lots more too. Make sure you also join us in our Facebook community, the Wafflers Arms. Pick up the conversation that we've just shared with you and actually share your thoughts. Come and tell us your villa options, hotel recommendations, and whether or not you actually think a split stay is something that maybe we could all consider at some point in the future. Until the mid-month show, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
See you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my